Fly me to the moon. Let me play amongst the stars. What's up, everybody? I was playing some Count Basie before we got started. Count Basie, a cold motherfucker, boy. Wasn't that smooth? Anyway, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about, I've been talking around this topic in the last couple of weeks, just kind of touching in and touching out. Now I want to deal directly with it because it's a lot going on that sounds good. It sounds really good. It sounds real fly. But I want to go directly into some of these hustler tactics that are used by attacking delineation. And I want to go into a little bit about what happened at the UN with Ghana and their talk about, Europe and that vote that they had the UN take on slavery. And what's that really about? I want to kind of get into what's that really about. Sort of go under the mask. Because I think that they said some good things, some cool things. It's not all bad, but I want to see what this is really about, So that's what we're about to talk about right now. Only thing I ask that, come in here and have fun. Just don't be a hoe. I may say some things you don't like, but listen or leave. But no, we ain't here for none of the BS. And if you say what you want to say, but if you're going to say something funny, let it be funny, all right? We're going to get started in about 1 minute. Let's go. I'm back. So let's talk about it. You dig what I'm saying? Here we go. The Pan-African hustle has gotten more sophisticated in some ways, but in a lot of ways it's the same. In a lot of ways it's the same. And what do I mean by hustle? This is what I mean by, let's define terms very, very clearly. Hustle Black Americans into agendas that benefit the diaspora more than it benefits us. Anytime you enter into a relationship, you got to ask yourself, what benefit do you get out of it? That's any human being. Just because you're quote unquote part of the African diaspora does not make you greater than being a human. And as a human, you want to know, what do you get out of any exchange? And for far too long, Black Americans have been hustled into going into situations to where we're giving more than we're getting. And to make it worse, when we talk about getting something in return for what we're giving, we're met with defiance, we're met with disrespect, we're met with lies, we're met with deception, we're met with whatever tool people think that they have to stop us from asking, what do we get out of it? If you have a family and there's a famine coming, and let's say you got a family of 5, wife, husband, 3 kids, and a dog, and stuff gets tight. If somebody comes to you and they're potentially taking food out of your children's mouth, if somebody's in need, that's one thing. I ain't talking about the person in need. I'm talking about, it's now been 100 years of need. And for 100 years, let's shorten it to human time, one lifetime. For 10 years, these people have been knocking on your door every Friday when you get paid. And at first you did it because you knew they needed it. But at some point, you got to ask yourself, okay, you've been knocking on my door every Friday for 10 years. At what point do I stand up for myself and ask, okay, what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of you knocking on my door every Friday? Money's tight now. I ain't got the money I had 2 years ago. Now I'm having to take out of my kids and my wife's mouth to give to you because the money ain't flowing like it once was. And you ask that question, and when you ask that question, here comes somebody saying, we are all brothers. Why should we ask these kind of questions? We are all brothers. Okay, I get we brothers, but man, come on, bruh. This person been taken from me for a long time, and I'm just asking, okay, where the money going? Where the food at? Like, and then you got somebody else coming and saying, I think it's a psyop. What it really is, yeah, people trying to delineate between their house and the next person's house. You know, my address is 2925 and his address is 2942. But we all live on the same block. So I think it's a psyop that's making me check my address versus your address. We both live on Hacienda Road. Does it matter that I live at 2529 and the next brother live at 2542? We both live in the Millgood neighborhood on Hacienda Drive. Why should I delineate my house from their house? I think it's a psyop. How would that sound, people? Well, that's how the Pan-African hustle sounds. That's how the Pan-African hustle sounds. It's give without questioning anything, take from us to give to them, and then when all you do is question it, when you come back and question what it is now a psyop. The next level of the hustle is what we see coming from Ghana. And I think I'm opening the phone line pretty early this episode to hear from y'all. So if y'all want to call in, I'm going to open up the phone line earlier than usual tonight or today, because I want to hear what y'all got to say. And I'm going to play some video a little bit. But I'm going to open up the phone line for y'all. And then there is Ghana. They came to America this past week speaking on reparations. Speaking on America needing to apologize and the world needing to apologize and call the transatlantic slave trade the greatest atrocity in human history. And we're going to talk about that because is it one of the great? Is it probably the greatest? But there's still a slave trade going on in Africa now. And the Arab slave trade out of Africa started 600 years before the transatlantic slave trade. And was it a trade? Was the transatlantic slave trade a trade? Or was it a sale? What did Europe trade in return? A trade is I give you something, you give me something. What did Europe give them? We know what Africa gave the world, but what did they get in return? We got to ask these questions. Well, that being said, I know that's a long intro, but welcome, chat room. I got Lady Hotep up in here live. What up? What's up, humans? What's up, Easy Eyes, Red Sun, Aerial Smoke? Salute to everybody up in here. C Diggs up in here. Artist Life. I wanna have these conversations today, y'all. So I've been seeing the stuff go around. You know, I want to have this conversation because there may be some. Because here's the thing, I am not against Pan-Africanism all the way. I'm not. Y'all know me. I'm not absolute. If there's a mutual benefit to working with the diaspora, hell yeah, I'm working with them. If there's a mutual benefit. What I'm not gonna do is do all the giving. That's what I'm not gonna do. And I'm sure there are people in the diaspora that have something to offer that we can exchange on. But you won't get that offer unless you demand it. As long as you're willing to give, and not hold accountability, no one's going to offer you anything. This is just a basic life principle. And one thing we got to get to in the black community is understand that there are certain things that are just human. And if you want to argue, okay, but that's what the white man gave us, whatever. We can argue that later, but we can only deal with the world that we're in right now. A lot of this stuff is whether you're dealing with the white person, the black person, the Arab, the Latino, the Asian. There's certain baseline norms. All groups got crooks and criminals. We can just get that out the way. Every group got its crooks and criminals. No one group holds the unique. Oh, because usually we be the ones. We the only ones. We the main ones. Why just us? You see, and you see people say that. Like you hear, like Umar, for example. Umar be the first one to say, "You see the Arab work together. You see the European work together." Yeah, we see the European work together, and we see them fucking each other over 9 out of 10 times. We live in a world of needs and takes. So people, you're going to have scammers. You're going to have people who ain't shit. Get it out the way. Just understand that most people are full of shit, no matter what color you're working with. Okay? That goes for those of us, because I am in Foundation of Black American. It's a lot of full of shit FBAs too. Let's not sit around and act like we pure. All right? Everybody got to address the skeletons in their closet. Everybody. Everybody got ain't shit people. And everybody got good people that there's something to work with. But you ask questions. You hold yourself to a standard. And the first standard you hold yourself to is making sure that you're honest. And before we get in talking about other people, let's get in talking about ourselves. The first pillar is you be an honorable person. Don't come to me talking about, why don't I see nobody? If you don't see nobody else that's honest, that's telling me that you probably a dishonest motherfucker. All right? You got to know one honest person. Come on now. If everybody around you is a criminal, I'm asking, what's your past like? So the first step is you be honorable. You be a man or a woman of your word. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. Let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. You put your best foot forward. You give 100%. And for you be the person that you're looking to attract. You be the business partner. You be the business person. You be the person that you're looking to attract. You be that. And also, you're gonna have to have this understanding. You're gonna have to understand. Even if you feel all 4 of those pillars, guess what? You still probably gonna attract somebody that's gonna try to scam you, because most of these people is hustling ass scammers. You still, just because you do shit right don't mean you're going to attract. There's still gonna be some people out there trying to fuck you over. Just because you do it right don't mean everybody's gonna respect it. So understand that too. But understand that just because you get screwed over, in that screwing over, there's a lesson to learn. And when that time comes back around again, you'll be duly prepared for when it's time for whatever it is you got going to take off. I was screwed over when I was 22, 23. I'm 22, 23. I see these older brothers. Yes, they were FBA, all 3 of them. One of them was good, 2 of them wasn't shit. This is LA, not New York, so these are some FBA black niggas. These are some parents from Arkansas or Alabama ass niggas. And I was like, and dude was a Christian, had the Bible on his thing, on his mortgage desk, and I was like, why would these older black men hustle over a young black man trying to make his way up? And they did. They got me. They got me good. But one thing I didn't do is go and say, well, all black people this, and you know black people that, and you know black people this. You know why I got scammed by a black person? Because I was working with a black person. I got scammed by white people too. But it was those early scams that I learned lessons from that taught me lessons to grow in life. You're going if you're dealing with a group, of people 70% of the time, then God damn it, out of that, if you take 10 people, 3 are gonna try to fuck you over. Maybe 5 are gonna try to fuck you over. I would say 4 are gonna intentionally try to fuck you over. The other 4 are gonna have good intentions, but they ain't gonna know what the fuck they doing. And then 2 might know what they doing, and out of those 2 that know what they doing, one of them is in it for self until they get to what they want out of it. Then they're gonna cast you to the side, and that 1 out of 10 is with you the long way. You gotta know that. 4 out of 10 is gonna come in with the expressed intent on fucking you over. The other 4 out of 10 is gonna come with good intentions, but they don't know what the fuck they doing. So you're going to get fucked over because they don't know what they doing. And they're gonna leave your asshole wide open when you least expect it. The 2 out of 10 that's with it, 1 is in it for their own self-interest, and they're gonna skedaddle on you as soon as they get what they want. And that 10 out of 10, that 1 person is gonna be with you for the long haul. So let's just tell the truth, okay? Let's just tell the truth. So let's get into this video. What's up again, chat room? I appreciate y'all for joining. I want to start off with, y'all heard what 19, I saw this video from like 10 months ago, and it was 19 Keys talking about what's going on with the whole FBA situation. And he said something very interesting. And I don't want to pile on the brother. There's been a whole lot of channels piling on him. I'm not gonna pile on him. People see what it is. So I'm not gonna do that. But I do want to bring up and address this concern that he talks about right here. Let me hit play real quick and see.
These brothers. Not to cut you off. You said wrap it up. How long? God damn. Okay. All right, that was fast. But for these last 3 minutes, I want to make this point. What you think about this online war between Black Americans and Black foreigners? Because to me, it's more divide and conquer, right? We're even using racist terms towards other Black people that's not from here, calling them tethers.
Yeah.
And I see that online time and time again. I'm like, how does this make sense? Wouldn't you want to build a bridge to our brothers and sisters overseas so we got a coalition here and there? Why are you separating yourselves? We already separated here. I'm Muslim, I'm Crip, I'm Blood, I'm this, I'm that. Like, what you think about that?
Okay, that was a person asking a question. And they asked about the separation. This is a common question that we hear when it comes to the divisiveness. This is a common question that we hear. And it's a valid question. At least I thought it was a valid question. We've been talking about this now for about 6-7 years. So I'm at the point now to where if people are still asking this question, they're being obtuse. Either they're being disingenuous or they're retarded. This question has been answered time and time and time again. Or the third, well, they're not disingenuous. They don't, it's still two, because this is what I mean by them being disingenuous. You've heard the answers about this relationship not being reciprocal since at least the pandemic. It goes before the pandemic. But I'm just going to stop it at the pandemic because everybody was at home during the pandemic and had all day to be on YouTube. Everybody was on YouTube during the pandemic. It was made very clear back then. It's about having either a reciprocal relationship or no relationship. And no, we're not at war. You're right. C. Diggs said war is a term is extreme. You're right. And Larry, you in the Larry in the chat. Hey Larry, from the bottom of my heart, nigga, fuck you. Everybody tell Larry Goodwill to go to hell if you're in the chat. All right. Please, if you follow me, you like what I do, add Larry Goodwill in the chat and tell him to go to hell. All right. So Willie Mae said, nah, they're just retarded. So it's like, but this is what I mean. But yeah, it's a whole lot of retardation. It is a lot of retardation going on. But when I say by being, this is what I mean by disingenuous. Meaning you heard us say what we said, but you're not willing to accept it. You heard us about being reciprocal, but you're not willing to accept that. Thank you, chat room. Thank you, chat room, for Now, anybody there we go, Ariel Smoke. That's right. But I got my mods saying hi to Larry. Hey, mods, I thought we was on the same team, mods. How my mods gonna be saying what's up to Larry, and the non-mods telling Larry to go to hell? Come on, mods. We supposed to be on the same team. What kind of pan chat room shit is this going on? Yeah, go straight to hell, Larry. That's right. So, and go to Black American Music Family Tree Historical Foundation. Before we get into this rest part, before we get to 19 Keys' response to that question, I need y'all to make sure you go to bamfamilytree.org, support the movement, documenting Black American music family history, the music family tree. And also go to incenseandashtrays.com and make sure you read this article. I'm waiting to do a show on this probably tomorrow, because they have that No Kings protest going on. And we're going to talk about why Black American delineation is so important and self-identity, because this gives a long breakdown of the historical political inadequacies here in Los Angeles. While everybody's talking about gang this, like that dude, gang this and gangs that, let me tell y'all something. And this is with respect to everybody that used to that bang, whatever. But gangs ain't shit, all right? If gangs was black people's problem, we'd be 48,000 times in a better position than we are right now. I can tell you one thing, we wouldn't be under gentrification, because them niggas can't afford houses. But we talk about the real political situations that reshape Los Angeles and how the gang narrative is so far overrated in this city, because the real gang in this city is the Los Angeles City Council and the LAPD and the LA County Sheriff and the mayor's office. So break all that down right here at incenseandashtrays.com. We're going to talk. It's a 15-minute read. It's a pretty long article. So give yourself like 15 to 20 minutes to read. All right. I try to keep my articles at like 4-minute reads, but nah, we had to go all the way in depth on this one. All right. incenseandashtrays.com. So let's get back, and this was from the Viral Way podcast. So, but I'm not gonna play that video. So you see how right here he was talking about, what's wrong with this, with us separating ourselves. Now listen to 19 Keys' response.
I think number one, it's important to be able to recognize your American roots and who we are and what we've been through, because I think that really connects us all, because we all done came from the same situation, circumstances. There's a level of loyalty we have to that storyline and our reparations and what we need and our contributions to the world and our self-pride.
So 19 Keys starts off all the way on the right track. That we do need to recognize that there has to be a recognition, and not just us. Every island in the Caribbean has heroes. Every island in the Caribbean, and also in the African diaspora, has heroes and villains. Every village, every tribe, every island has both heroes and villains. And it's best to study your heroes and your villains so you can see the patterns that exist when you study your heroes and your villains. Like if you study your villains and your heroes, you know the difference between Martin Luther King and what's that dude that they just had a documentary about on Netflix. What was the dude? Y'all know his name, chat room. The Moist Boy. What was his name? And when he was with King, I see his face and everything. He debated Malcolm X and lost like a motherfucker. What was that boy name? That was always undermining Dr. King. Chat room, help me out. But you want to know the differences between the two. You want to know the musical heroes, the freedom heroes, the great mothers of your civilization. Yeah, Bayard Rustin. That's what I'm talking about. Bayard Rustin, yeah. You want to know the difference between King and Rustin. Two people wearing suits, supposedly fighting the same mission. But one, according to this book, The Plot to Kill King, was working against King the whole time. But if you're only looking at skin color and how they dress, you think the two are the same. You got to be able to identify the Diddy's and the Jay-Z's in your community. Because in this world, the Jay-Z's come with hot music. So you got to love them because the music is hot. But what you're really getting is a Bayard Rustin. What you're really getting is somebody that's working for the other team. That's why it's so important that everybody studies their own societies. Because every society that wants to do better has to first get rid of the people on the other team. Hey, Larry, fuck you. Larry said, Dewan Rustin. I'll kick your ass, nigga. That name Rustin sounds stupid. Rustin. Get your Rustin ass on out of here. But anyway, but look, it was the same thing. Let's break this down real quick. It was the same thing in the Revolutionary War. You had the Patriots and you had the Loyalists. Before George Washington and the American Patriots, a band of thugs, were able to fight the British Army, they had to separate themselves from the British Loyalists. All people have to do is study the American Revolution. Most of America was still loyal to the crown. And as long as the Loyalists were mingling with the Patriots never didn't get a win. General Howe was beating that ass. America didn't start getting control of General Howe until the Loyalists and the Patriots were adequately separated. Thumbs up. I appreciate that, Zachariah Williams. Just study. When these people talk about Black Americans as we should just all work together, we're bigger numbers, how would that have worked for the Loyalists versus the Patriots? The Patriots are only 3 to 5%. The Patriots only made up 3 to 5% of the colonialists. Most people say 3%. Conservative estimates put it at 5%. Those are the only amount of patriots that were in the colonies. The colonies got established in 1619, and we're dealing with 1776. We're dealing with over 150 years of being loyal to the crown. And the term American, do y'all know this? When people talk about the term FBA, remember this. Americans did not start calling themselves Americans until about 1770, 1772, sometime in there. And still, most people didn't call themselves Americans. You called yourself by your colony. You were a Georgian. You were from Maryland. You were a Virginian. You were a Massachusettsian. You were a New Yorker. You were Jersey. You were Delaware. These people didn't call themselves Americans. They identified themselves with their colony and then identified by the crown. So what George Washington did when they started to get the term American out there more, American in 1773 is what FBA was in 2018, 2019. Let's be very clear. FBA in 2020 is where the term American was in these colonies in 1773. The American patriots' first job was to wrap themselves in an American identity before they were able to separate themselves from the crown. And mind you, the crown ain't just people over there. The people loyal to the crown, the loyalists, these are cousins, these are brothers. These are oftentimes splits between children and family. You had children that wanted to be Americans, and you had moms and dads and grandparents that wanted to be loyalists. We live in the United States of America. This is why they always telling you, no, go look at Africa. Go look at Africa. How the fuck is that going to help you with what's going on here? If you want to know how to handle here, you better study the history of here. And we're at 250 years of the United States right now. You don't recreate the real. You go you follow the grooves in the road. You don't recreate a new trail. You follow the trail. If it worked. Bobby, 12348. Appreciate the pair, the super chat. You got to realize when America was founded, they didn't create a new constitution. They just took from the one that was already here. That governed this land from the year 1153 till 1776. The Iroquois Charter, which went by a different name that I cannot recall right now. Iroquois is what the Americans called it. It was called something else. But the charter that governed the upper Northeast, where the Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, was a charter of Iroquois, Seneca, Muskogee, or is it Mustang? I'm dyslexic. Don't kill me. But it's like 5 or 6 nations. And that charter lasted from 1152 to 1776. So when Ben Franklin came around with the Constitution, he just took a charter that was already here. The idea of a Congress and a Senate and a Constitution, that was already drawn up. The United States just took all that shit. Oh, you mean tell me this shit worked for y'all for like 600 years? Oh shit, we taking that. Yeah. You don't reinvent the wheel, nigga. Not if you don't have to. So if we gonna have this conversation, let's have this conversation. Y'all ain't about to have these abstract talks about the random goofy on the side that just says death to Africans. Yeah, everybody got goofies. Whatever. Fuck the goofy. Y'all gonna talk to somebody that know how to think. And I'm tired of these people And again, no, I'm not here to defend Tariq because Tariq is too goddamn funny for me to defend. No one can defend Tariq better than Tariq can defend Tariq. But at the end of the day, they're talking about Tariq. The dude is on Twitter Space and TikTok every day. He's the most accessible person you can get on the internet right now. There's nobody more accessible on the internet than Tariq Nasheed. Nobody. So I call cap on these kind of conversations because Tariq is probably the most accessible person on the internet. Appreciate that, Robin. Welcome. So let's talk about it. Because again, I'm not here to throw stones at 19 Keys, the viral rate, nobody. I'm here to have a conversation. Since these topics come up, we got to have this conversation. Now let's keep going.
And then there's that respect that we have to have in between each other. You understand me? Between Africans and blacks, black Americans, right? To where it's like, we have been fighting for all people across the planet Earth. Recognize that, appreciate that. Because all of a sudden, everybody has now started to pick up all of these different nationalities. When at first it was just everybody black. Right? Now you Dominican, now you Puerto Rican, now you this, that, and the third. And so black people like, damn, my bad. I thought we was all one. You feel me? And so I think it was actually a lot of other people that start picking up these things and saying, no, we started this or we did this.
Again, 19 Keys all the way on point. It's about respect. And I believe in respect. And I still have people from the Caribbean that I'm very close to. Why? Because we have respect. Respect doesn't mean I minimize myself to make you feel good. That's not respect. Anybody that wants to make you kneel down so that they can stand up, they don't respect you. Respect is me standing up and you standing up. Now, if I happen to stand taller, that just is what it is. But nobody should kneel down to nobody. Everybody got to have equal respect to one another. And it goes double when you're on somebody else's land. When I'm in somebody else's house, I'm going to follow their house rules. If I come to your house and you say keep your shoes on the outside, I'm going to keep my shoes on the outside. If you say come in the house, the bathroom's there, but if you want some water, I'll get it for you. I'm going to ask you to get the water. Or if you say, help yourself to water, then I'll help I'm going to let you dictate how you run your house. And if I don't like how you run your house, I'm not going to go to your crusty ass house. I'm going to go to another house. There are plenty of houses on earth, including your own, where you can create your own house rules. That's also an option.
But when we was doing this thing, you didn't say you was Puerto Rican doing this. You said you was black doing this, participating in this. So I think that there's a level of having that identity, right, and that sense of pride within your culture that is key specifically for preserving it and growing it. But number two, I think that is also part of a psyop, right, that disconnects us because Africa is the best place to invest in over the next 50 years.
Now he goes right in the side. This is what you always got to watch out. That was the point of deception. When I saw the clips, they didn't play that pre-part. I wanted to make sure I played the whole segment so you can see what a psyop actually is. Did y'all just notice that pivot? It works with 19 Keys, no different than it works with some of these prosperity preachers at church. No different than it works for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or whoever your fancy is in politics. Tell the truth, address the problem, then throw a switch in the deck. Let me acknowledge the problem. Let me act as if I'm talking. Let me drive down the road as if I'm about to address the problem. But as soon as it's time to get to the problem, Left turn, right turn. Go back and listen. Let's listen to this turn real quick. Let's listen to the turn. This is where the hustle is. This is how you hustle. Used car salesman. Oh, you want you want a car with good gas mileage. Oh, you want a car that your seatbelt. Okay, yeah, you want trunk space. Okay, I got a car, good gas mileage, trunk space, and yeah, and you came in. You said you wanted to spend $400 a month. I got a good car. I got good trunk space. The MPGs are good. It's clean as color you want. $750 a month. And you like $750? I don't want $750. I want it. Hey, well, listen to the switch.
To have in between each other. You understand me? Between Africans and blacks, black Americans, right? To where it's like, we have been fighting for all people across the planet Earth. Recognize that, appreciate that. Because all of a sudden, everybody has now started to pick up all of these different nationalities. When at first it was just everybody black, right? Now you Dominican, now you Puerto Rican. Now.
And that's the major part of the problem. People delineated, he literally addressed the problem perfectly. Perfect way to address the issue. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Salute 19 Keys. Perfect. Now listen.
You this, that, and the third. And so black people were like, damn, my bad. I thought we was all one. You feel me? And so I think it was actually a lot of other people that start picking up these things and saying, no, we started this or we did this. But when we was doing this thing, you didn't say you was Puerto Rican doing this. You said you was black doing this, participating in this.
He's talking about hip hop. Yeah, major problem. They switched it up. Now listen to this switch up.
I think that there's a level of having that identity, right, and that sense of pride within your culture that is key specifically for preserving it and growing it. But number two, I think that is also part of a psyop, right, that disconnects us because Africa is the best place to invest in over the next 50 years.
Mind you, he went right to addressing the problem and then went right to his hustle. The whole Africa thing. What's his name? If you watch O'Shea Duke Jackson just did a video the other day where he's talking about how 19 Keys is meeting with the president of Africa, of Ghana. Not of Ghana, where's O'Shea at? Uganda. So he addressed the problem perfectly and then flipped it to his hustle. And his hustle is getting black people to invest in Ghana and Uganda. Did y'all see that, chat? How do you address the issue that we're addressing and then say, nah, fuck all that. We need to go to Ghana and get some money. How the fuck? That's how you get hustled, people. Tell the truth, flip it to what I'm doing. Let's keep going.
They have the population growth. That population growth means that when they're investing, there's a whole new consumer base to where you're going to build new technologies out. All of the countries are going to be fighting for access to Africa as they are right now. And in the midst of Africa going through its biggest revolution, we're the most disconnected from that storyline. So I believe it's a psyop. Right? I believe that there's an aspect in identifiers, right, that is key
But then there's the aspect that the enemy is utilizing that against us.
So Tariq Nasheed,
So
come holla at us, because you the face of that movement.
and that's a very dude trying to call out Tariq Nasheed, that guy. But you saw what 19 Keys just did. He addressed the real issue and gave no solutions to the issue. Instead, he said, come invest in what I got going. The 19 Keys, he's managed by CAA. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's okay to be managed by the biggest speaking firm in the world. There's nothing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But as you see right here, his thing is a podcast on culture and business, Web3, technologies. Works with Idris Sandu. Idris Sandu don't sound like a Black American name. I'm looking for okay. Money and Life Mastery. AI. Intelligence. Invest. Okay. Okay. Talking about investing in Africa. Okay. And there's nothing wrong. Look, I am not about to sit here and say something wrong with flipping the conversation into whatever you do to make money. You're supposed to make money. I ain't a pocket watcher. Make your goddamn money. New Africa, billionaire Prince of Africa. You know, so you see here, he's very much so invested in Africa. And I don't see issue with nothing the brother does. I believe, look, if that's the lane you in, that's the lane you in. I'm not about to say he's a scammer. I'm not about to say he's doing anything wrong for being in that lane. No. He can do whatever the fuck he want to do. The issue is when you take a very, very, very real issue and you flip a real issue that's affecting a lot of Black people, and you say, hey, come invest over here because it's a lot of money in Africa. Look, man. What if the Patriots said, hey, why would we separate from the loyalists? Let's get all of the loyalists on our side before we become an independent country. No, you can't do that, because the fact is, in any kind of movement, 85% of people are going to be content with where they are, whether they happy or sad or mad, whatever. There's some people that can be dirt poor, enslaved, whatever, don't like their condition, but 85% of people who don't like their condition would rather stay with being content than addressing their condition. So when they say things like, why are you getting in, why we should just wait and be with, what if the people you want to get with, what if they're just content? What if they just don't care? How are they going to help you with your agenda of independence if they don't care? That's a high level conversation. And watch out for niggas that say things like high level conversation, man. You'll know the level of a conversation when you engage, all right? You don't need a you're gonna have some high level conversations and talk about what? Simple shit? It's not a high level conversation to address things from that surface level. You got to get into a high level conversation is getting into the nuances and the intricacies of what's being said and dissecting what's being said so you don't get screwed over. That's a high level conversation. What the fuck do I get out of this exchange is a high level conversation. Make sure y'all hit the like button. She said, we got to stop supporting him. Let the Africans buy the coffee. And that takes us over here to this right here. I was watching that Ghana speech. I went and watched the whole speech because I wanted to make sure that I got everything in context. And overall, it was a good speech. But the story out of that speech in Ghana is the U.S. votes against UN resolution labeling slavery the greatest crime in humanity. This is what I want to make very clear. Everybody knows it's the greatest crime in humanity. You're not going to get this country to admit that at this time. And admitting that doesn't really mean anything, okay? Matter of fact, I'm glad the United States didn't admit, because if the United States admitted it, 60% of you niggas would have been like, oh yeah, fight's over. We don't even need reparations now because y'all acknowledge my feelings. Hell nah. You the niggas are the worst. I want you guys to know how we felt as a people. It just hurt us. Oh, we just was hurt. And if you just could acknowledge what you did, I'd be happy. You niggas are the worst. Man, because if they acknowledge it, y'all would have been like, oh, massa, acknowledge it. I can die now. Oh, Lord. Man, please. Better get to the nitty gritty and give up that bread. Acknowledging it would have made 60% of you niggas, especially you niggas that vote Democrat. Oh, I can't say you Republican niggas too, because y'all too many of y'all are coons too. Not all y'all. But 80% of nigga Republicans and 80% of nigga Democrats would have been satisfied with that apology. I'm glad you niggas didn't get it. Second, I want people to notice something. Black people, I want y'all to pay attention to something. Pressing number one if, like me, because I don't tell people how to vote. But pressing number one if we have a similar approach to voting. I personally abstain from voting for people who don't address my political needs. I'll vote for propositions. I'll vote for certain things, the board here in my local city. But if I didn't vote, my last time voting for a president was 2012 when I voted for Obama. 2016, I voted for Dr. Funkenstein, write-in ballot. 2020, I voted for Jerry Springer. I wrote Jerry Springer on the ballot in 2020. 2024, and back in 2024, I voted for Wilt Chamberlain. I wrote Wilt Chamberlain on the ballot in 2024. And there's a reason why I abstain, because for those of you who've been on this channel, y'all have seen me talk about it. Hey, I'm still live. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you want to be politically active. But if you have something on the ballot that doesn't advance your position, but it doesn't necessarily hurt your position, you abstain. Abstaining is a vote. And look at the amount of countries that abstained right here. It says the resolution on that crime against humanity bill received 123 votes. Let me go to the... My bad, I was on mute. My bad, I was on mute. I was on mute, my bad. I was on mute. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let me go back to what I said. Let me go back. If you look here, you see it says the resolution received 123 votes. 52 countries abstained, including all 27 European Union countries. Why did they abstain? See, Australia, they didn't participate in the transatlantic slave trade the way everyone else did, but they have diplomatic ties to the United States and the United Kingdom and the countries who did. So voting for it could look bad for its own Aboriginal citizens. Voting against it would look bad to its economic allies. So they abstained. Black people, when it comes time, this goes for all you niggas out there that be like, well, you gotta choose somebody now. You got to choose somebody now. You gotta vote for something. What you mean? Our ancestors died to vote. Oh, Lord. You got to choose somebody. You niggas sound dumb as fuck, man. You don't gotta choose nobody. If the position doesn't advance your political agenda, you don't vote on it. Tell Roland Martin that. Tell all these jive suckers that try to get you to vote for a party because your ancestor did it. Nah, nigga, you better exercise your ability to abstain. But let's keep going. In the states that it's in trafficking of enslaved Africans and radicalized shadow enslavement of Africans is the gravest crime against humanity by reason of definitive break in the world history, scale, duration, systemic nature, brutality, and enduring consequences that continue to structure the lives of all people through racialized regimes of labor, property, and capital. Here's the issue with this, and this is just me playing the middle. Not devil's advocate, because I don't advocate for no fucking devil. But if we're going to tell the whole truth, the Arab slave trade in Africa is lasted a hell of a lot longer. The Arab slave trade started and went right after the death of Muhammad in the 7th century. They've been trading out of Africa, North and East Africa, 1,300 years now. Chat room, check my math. It's been going on for about 1,300 years now, and it's still going on now. Obama helped it when he killed Gaddafi because it's going heavy in Libya right now. It's still going on. The transatlantic slave trade might have been a little bit more dynamic, but Africa still got a slave issue. They still got a slave problem. Now. And when I listened to the speech, I'm gonna play a couple parts.
There have been abolitionists who have spoken up against it. The first slave ship landed in America in 1619. Opposition to chattel slavery was voiced and mentioned in passing in documents. But in 1688, the Germantown Friends, a group of Quakers, put out a formal written protest against slavery. And in it they wrote, and let me quote, "Now, though they are black, we cannot conceive there is more liberty to have them slaves as it is to have other white ones. There's a saying that we shall do to all men like us we will."
So let's break down why I went to this part. I went to this part because we got to tell the truth. You could talk about slaves coming to America all day. Who sent them here? That has to be addressed. What did they get from it? How did they benefit? And the people that were sent, where did they come from? He's literally reading Quakers in America. You mean to tell me Quakers protested slavery before Africans? Got to ask yourself another question. When the United States completed its independence from England, why was it Africa, specifically Morocco? Why is Africa the first country to acknowledge the United States independence? That came from Africa too. See, when the British had the colonies, the British had agreements with the Indians to not go past the Appalachian Mountains. And the British was having a lot of hell with these white folks going past the Appalachians. Even the local natives knew that the reason why so many Indians fought on the side of the British was because the British and the Indians had agreements to not go past the Appalachians. The Indians knew if the Americans win, the Americans are going to come past the Appalachian Mountains, which they did. So why did Africa, specifically Morocco, why did they recognize the United States as an independent nation in 1777 and allow America to set up trade ports on their lands in the 1780s, even before George Washington became president? You gonna talk about that? Let's keep going.
Chained and shackled into the hold of cargo ships. They remain naked, packed like sardines during the month-long journey through the Middle Passage. Not all those who were loaded onto the ships survived the voyage. A number of the ships sank with their entire human cargo. Others who fell sick were thrown overboard. And a few who preferred death to captivity voluntarily jumped overboard. It is believed that 10 to 20% of enslaved people died in the Middle Passage. Whenever a ship arrived at its destination, the enslaved people, still naked, were taken to the markets where they were inspected and appraised like livestock. They were then placed on an auction block in front of an audience of potential buyers and sold to the highest bidder. Once they arrived on the plantation where they would work and live for a lifetime, they were also stripped of their names. And so you were no longer Fatu or Kofi or Bubakar or Nanayao or Menka, Nayong or Hamisu.
Or Cherokee or Powhatan or Potawatomi or Poarch or Creek or Redtail
you were given names like Ben, Jemima, John, Toby.
This dude, I'm playing it for a reason. This speech was written after watching Roots. Uncle Ben, he said Ben like Uncle Ben's rice, and he said Jemima like Aunt Jemima syrup, and Toby like the movie Roots. Did y'all pick that up? The nigga went Uncle Ben's rice, Aunt Jemima syrup, and Toby from Roots.
Or Mary. In addition to these new names, they were also called girl or boy, regardless of how old you were.
Let me go back to this part.
With language, when words are weaponized or to codify abuse, when people are called out of their names, regardless of their state of dress, when slaves were captured, they were always stripped of their clothes, the dignity of Africans, the humanity of our ancestors who were enslaved, and as a matter of course, our own humanity.
I wanted to get to a part that I cannot find. Damn it. Because there's a part where he goes and he starts talking about the numbers. And I want to get into the numbers. I'm going to try one more time.
3 colonies to an independent nation with 36 states. Over 450,000 enslaved Africans were trafficked to Barbados, north to south, and 4,000.
Let me set up this part I'm about to get to right here. When we talk about the slave trade, one, they're still not answering who the hell sold us. Because this whole speech is about reparations, angling towards reparations. And so you got to watch when they're talking about that kind of stuff. And I'm cool with the diaspora I want the whole diaspora to get reparations, but we got to deal with that who sold Africans part. We got to deal with that. Because it will be different if they're having this conversation. If Ghana's having this conversation and they're sponsoring reparations to the Americas, to the Caribbean, to South America, and they're not going to get it, and they're talking about you guys get the money for the people that we sold to you, I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm with that all the way. What I'm not with is the grift. You're using the Black American struggle for your benefit. That's what I'm not with. And that's what it seems like what's going on right here. And the slave trade goes so deep. It goes so deep. Because the American slave trade is a lot different than the rest of the world. I want you to hear the numbers from his mouth. I want you to hear the numbers from his mouth.
Roughly 6 million enslaved Africans were trafficked to Brazil.
Let me go back a little bit more.
Which is the 5th largest nation in the world.
Let me go back a little more.
Abolition. But we cannot afford to look away. This is precisely the part when we should pay close attention, because the devil is in the detail.
The devil's most definitely in the detail. Let's go. Here's the reason I want you guys to pay attention. Because if you're making a claim and you're not part of that claim, guess what? That claim don't come to you. Listen to this real quick.
And I'm going to share 4 trafficking destinations with you. Remember, when you hear these numbers, that it's not about data. These are about human beings and human lives. Roughly 6 million enslaved Africans were trafficked to Brazil, which is the 5th largest nation in the world.
6 million to Brazil.
Stretching 4,400 kilometers from north to south and 4,320 kilometers from east to west. Almost 2 million enslaved Africans were trafficked to Jamaica.
2 million to Jamaica. Let's keep listening.
Which was the most profitable of all sugar-producing locations. Jamaica is 235 kilometers long and between 34 and 84 kilometers wide, depending on which point you're located.
Somebody said, why are you trying to deny the struggles Africans went through? Who's denying their struggles? Name one thing I said to deny their struggles. All I asked was who sold us and who got the money. Because in order to have a trade means you get something back. I ain't denying what Africans went through. What I am saying is, if he's going to bring the Americans and acknowledge his country's participation in it and do this as a benefit to the diaspora and it not be a selfish thing, then I listen. But you can't double dip. Let's keep listening.
About 500,000 enslaved Africans were trafficked to America from the early 17th century when the first ship arrived to the 19th century. When
he said 500,000, the real number is closer to 380,000 were shipped to America. So pay attention to that. 6 million to Brazil, 2 million to Jamaica, less than 500,000 to America. This is what I've been telling y'all. The United States of America has the least amount of participation in the transatlantic slave trade than anywhere else. The least amount of participation. The biggest slave trade in America was an intercontinental slave trade. I keep telling y'all, look up the intercontinental slave trade. More black people in America were traded between colonies and traded between states than came from Africa. You find that over 400,000 came from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina to Mississippi just between the years of 1810 and 1845. In that 35-year period, you had more black people come from the East Coast to the Louisiana, to the Mississippi Valley than you had come from Africa in a 200-year period. Took 200 years to bring in 380,000 Africans. It took 35 years to bring over 500,000 just from the Carolinas to Mississippi. See, this, if y'all notice, they got a lot of y'all going real hard on Africa, because fact is, for most black people here, that's not where your claim is going to come from. Your claim comes from the United States government here. Let me give y'all another little secret. Y'all know how they're always talking about here in America how, you know, you have all these enslaved Africans and everybody was Africa. They don't, or they'll say, okay, well, the black people who claim Indian, well, those were just slaves of the Cherokee. Those were just slaves of Indian. Do you ever ask yourself, how did they become slaves of Indians? You know, a lot of your slaves, your Indian slaves, happened because the way the European conquested America, the European had its American conquest through Indian fights, Indian battles. Look up the Natchez Wars. Look up at the Mississippian Wars. Look up the Pontiac Wars. When you study history, you don't just read some person's opinion of history. You study the history of war. History is studied through war. And when these wars were going on, I told you a major civil war broke out in America in 1776 because the Confederacy tribes, the Iroquois Confederacy tribes, were split between who was going to back the British and who was going to back the Patriots. And through them being split over who was going to back who, when 1776 broke out, the Brits versus the Americans, major tribal beef broke out in the upper northeast. You got to ask yourself, where did the prisoners of war go? Well, we know for a fact that after the Iroquois Wars, over 20,000 of the losers of those wars were sent to Jamaica. Do y'all know that? Do you know that after the American Revolution, when it came down to the British loyalists, the majority of the British loyalists that left America after the Revolutionary War, but the majority either went to Jamaica or Barbados, or the Bahamas, and over 20,000 black Brits went to the Bahamas, and those who were enslaved went to Jamaica, or they stayed enslaved by the tribes. Most of the people just got enslaved by the tribes that they lost to. And that's how America said. And America was like, okay, we'll give you this tribal land, and the people you lost in battle, you can keep as slaves. We'll have our slavery over here, and you can have slavery too. How about that? How about y'all just beat the Mustang? All the losers, sell us some of them losers, and you can keep the rest. That's how the fuck that happened. The Yamasee Wars, the Seminole Wars. Look up the wars. Look up the wars. The prisoners of war became enslaved. Some got sold to the Brits. Some got sold to the Americans. The rest stayed within slavery within those tribes. That's how you get Indian slaves. Okay? And for further information on that, let me give y'all some PDF books, all right? I'm not going to give y'all some books y'all got to buy. I'm going to give y'all some PDFs. Let me see. If you want to know about Indians and enslaving other Indians, look up the Old New York Front. It's a book called The Old New York Front. It's a PDF. And it goes in and it talks about the description of those native people, how they looked, and how those wars ended up in the losers of those wars getting put into slaves. It talks about, let me give you an example. Because there's always that one dickhead, oh, you're lying. Oh, God, no. How dare you give me new information? Oh, God. My cognitive dissonance is, it's fucking with me. Here, you can get the PDF of this book right here. The Old New York Frontier. That's one book you can get that goes into something. I would say do searches on books for the Mississippian Wars. There are books, let me see here. Look for books on the Natchez Wars. This is where you're going to go to find the details of this information. Sullivan's History of the Iroquois Nation. This book right here. Let me show y'all this book right here. Sullivan's Campaign Against the Iroquois. This is where you get a lot of the description. This is where they'll tell you, okay, these people were tall, dark, and swarthy, athletic build. And they'll go into talking about what was going on with the Iroquois and a lot of your natives and how they looked and what happened after the war, the Five Nations. If you want to know about the Five Nations and all the nations, what I was talking about, the wars that happened, this book right here, History of Sullivan's Campaign, the Iroquois Confederacy. Look, why would I brought the Iroquois Confederacy?
I couldn't find that in your home.
Look, my phone is something to where you gotta touch it to activate Siri. This bitch talking out of line. What the? Ain't nobody talking to you, Siri. What the fuck are you doing? I didn't press the button. You see how they be listening? This bitch Siri just started talking. Did y'all see me touch Siri? I got to where you got to touch the button for Siri to talk. This bitch is going to interrupt our conversation. You nosy bitch. Somebody say, I may be CIA too. Oh, shit. Well, look it up then. Go find out. Ascending Plato's Cave. You might be a harlot. I don't know. If you think I'm CIA, I encourage you to look it up and tell me what you find. Please. Look it up. Look it up. You don't want to follow nobody that's CIA now. They mad at the motherfucker. You ain't gonna find no books though. Here's another book. If you want to break down how many of us were sold in trade within America, here's another book for you right here. Called Upon These Shores. Here's another book called Carry Me Back. There are plenty of books. That's why I'm telling you. I'll give y'all subjects to look up because what I'm telling y'all, there are multiple books written on this stuff. And he who knows one book knows no books at all. So I'm not here to give you a portion of domestic slavery in the United States. All of these books talk about the slave trade within the country. The majority of the United States slave trade was within the country. That was the majority of it, not from Africa. So if you're going around, yes, did some people come from Africa? Yes, in fact, some did come from Africa. Some most definitely came from Africa. But if you keep going down that road, you're going to go down a road that has a dead end. Because if you go into your genealogy, you might find out your people probably was here the whole time. And you just spent the last century talking about Africa, Africa, Africa. Ain't nothing in. I got anything I encourage y'all. Go and look up your family history. Like, I look at my genealogy. My people in the 1670s, they were described as colored, not African. When it gets about the mid 1700s, they started being described as Negroes, not African. Nowhere in the colonial times do I have any ancestors, and I got dozens of ancestors that was here during the colonial times on both my father and my mother's side. That I know their names and the county they lived in. Adams County, Mississippi. Anybody got an issue? Can you tell me where what county was your family living in 1770? I can. I had one side of my mom's side in Northampton County in North Carolina. Another side of my dad's was in Adams County, Mississippi. Where was your family? And all them niggas was described as either colored or Negro. And I had the rest of them were described as Potawatomi. Marriage record. Who got a marriage record from 1750? I do. Who else can show marriage records from 1750? I can. I can show where a Negro married an Indian. All throughout my family line. A colored person married an Indian. So if my grandmama Indian and my dad and my granddaddy colored, what am I? Huh? All right, Errol Smoke, you have a good one. Let's keep going.
Until slavery was eventually abolished. America grew from 3 colonies to an independent nation with 36 states. Over 450,000 enslaved Africans were trafficked to Barbados an island that is 34 kilometers wide and 34 kilometers long and 23 kilometers wide. Before the trafficking of enslaved Africans, plantation labor in Barbados came from white indentured servants who were usually Irish.
So you saw him go down the numbers. Jamaica alone got 4 times the amount of slaves from Africa than the United States. A 200-mile long island got 4 times as many Africans. And at the same time, a lot of people that went to Jamaica came from the United States, because the United States and Britain and Jamaica were both British colonies. Especially during the time of the American Revolution. This story is deep, man. So when it comes down to it, you got to watch the Pan-African hustle. People like Umar and 19 Keys and these people, they got money to be made in Africa. And I wish them both the best too. I want to see brothers successful, and I do want to see true Pan-Africanism. I would love to see true Pan-Africanism. But true Pan-Africanism is going to have to start with everybody telling the truth. True Pan-Africanism is going to have to start with everybody telling the truth. And it's going to have to deal with what's really going on in America now as currently constructed, in Africa now. Anything that's Pan-Africanism has to be reciprocal, mutual benefit. And if it doesn't benefit us mutually, we're going to have to mind our black ass business. Because again, going back to it, they still willingly so, after the British and after the Americans outlawed slavery in 1808, they still willingly sold slaves to South America until when? 1869? Knowing it's wrong? We got to address that. And we need to address where everybody really came from. Because how in the hell do you get all these how in the hell does Black America get so, and I don't want to hear breeding farms. Yeah, we have breeding farms too, but you can't breed how does it take, you mean to tell me the breeding farm started in Baltimore when? In the early 1800s? Chat room, help me out, chat room. When did the breeding farms really get going off in Baltimore and Louisiana? Early 1800s? You mean tell me it took them 200 years to get 400,000 black people here, but between 1808 and 1870, you jumped to 4 million? The human body can't produce babies that fast, yo. A woman's only gonna give you 1 baby a year. They make it seem as if in these breeding farms, these black women was having babies like alligators, dropping 100 eggs and shit. No, they was having 1 baby at a time. And back in them days, out of 10 babies, 3 of them motherfuckers was gonna die. Cause all them goddamn diseases back in the day. Out of 10 babies, 3 of them motherfuckers gonna be dead. A woman give you 1 baby a year. You're not getting from 400,000 to 4 million in that short amount of time. Yeah, 1808. Yeah. You're not gonna go from 400,000 to 10 million in that's one lifetime. 1808 to 1870, nigga, that's one lifetime. That's not even multiple generations. That's one lifetime, 3 generations. You're not going to get that many. A woman give you 1 baby a year, nigga. Maybe 2. Those numbers grew through paper genocide. There were more Americans traded within the slave trade within the United States of America than that which came from Africa. That's just a fact. That's a fact. F-A-C-T. Fact. That more people were traded within the continental U.S. than came from abroad. Period. It's a grift, y'all. Let's acknowledge the pain and the plight of the Black America. Now send me money. Now, do you see a difference between 19 Keys and the brother that was speaking from Ghana? Let's acknowledge the pain. Let's acknowledge the problem. Let's acknowledge the issue. Let's speak to the issue. Now, when it comes to the issue, to addressing your issue, I'm not going to address your issue at all. Give me the money so I can go help them out. No, sir. No. Now, I don't mind giving people money. I gave Dr. Umar money. I donated to that school twice back in 2016. I don't mind giving up money. I don't pocket watch. If your solution addresses the problem, okay, you say problem. Now my solution addresses directly that problem I'm talking about, then you got my money. And if you can show me how, yes, you got my money. Yes, I'm just because I've been screwed over by some people, don't mean I'm gonna stop giving. You don't stop trying just because you've been screwed over. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. I'm never gonna stop giving. Always gonna give, no matter what anybody did. But you can't say, here's the problem, here's the problem, here's the problem. Now the solution is, now let's go deal with Africa. No, if the problem is in America, let's deal with America. Rocky, what you doing? If the problem is in America, let's deal with America. And anybody saying that that's a psyop is full of shit. Anybody that say that's a psyop is full of shit. It's not a psyop. It's addressing taking care of home first. Oh, you in Wilmington? You say you donated to the school? Yeah, I did too. He came to LA. I donated twice. I said I wasn't gonna. I said earlier I was gonna take calls, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them now. 323-705-5150, extension 800. 323-705-5150. The phone number is right there. I'm only gonna take a few calls, so if you want to call in, call right away. But we got to deal with the truth. We got to deal with the truth. He said that greed blocking their blessing. That's why Ghana not built it like they wanted. Right. That greed blocking people's blessing. That's for real, for real. What's up, talk caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm good, man. What's your name, brother?
Yeah, man. just by you talking about all this stuff, I did my own personal research on my family. It's my great grandmother. She was raised in the Choctaw Nation in the Washington County area. She was raised there, so I found like a lot of that stuff. And even on my dad's side, my great grandfather on that side, he married a full like a full blooded Choctaw Indian. Well, really, she was a redskin Indian, but he married her, and I don't look nothing like it. Like I look straight up black. I don't look like I got none of that in me. But I found it all inside the background, like in the documents and all that. And the funny thing about it is, when I really started digging about the black people already here, in the old world encyclopedias, the ones probably in the 15th to 16th century, they said about 90% of us was already here. We even didn't come from no slave ships. 90% of us already here, and it says that like in several of them. They say that. So, like, as soon as I hear a bunch of people, like, trying to bitch and moan about, oh, yeah, y'all from Africa. No, everybody comes from Africa. Like, everybody traveled out of Africa and traveled to different parts of the land around the world. But, no, black people were on this land for a good over 50,000 years. A lot of people try to say 10, but, no, we were here way longer because we were the Fulton people, like the Fulton people, as they call them. Who else?
The mound builders.
Yup, and all that. I stay near like the East St. Louis area where the Cahokia Mountains at. They got a fake ass picture of a bunch of redskin Indians like they built it, and that's inaccurate because they didn't build that.
And the thing is, they'll tell you they didn't build it.
Yeah, I found the information on that. They'll tell you. Like, I don't know why they got that up there. And I spoke to the people near the museum because it's a small little museum right near the Cahokia Mountains. I told them, that's inaccurate. Why is y'all having it? Then he tried to, well, it's just to show a description. It's just an example. I'm like, no, it's not. That's inaccurate. Them people didn't build that. Them redskin Indians, and it's nothing it's nothing but a bunch of Mexicans that stay out there. It's in Fremont City. It's near Collins, like the Collinsville area and all that, but it's in Fremont City, and it's nothing but a bunch of Mexicans. They try to they try to say it's like the natives out there, but it's not. It's a bunch of Mexicans. It's called Fremont, Illinois. That's where the Cahokia Mountains at, really. And it's just they're sitting up here lying, but as soon as you dig, you find something completely different. I've definitely been doing a lot of digging, but them books that you mentioned, I'm definitely gonna check them out. But is there any other books that dig deeper into like certain black tribes?
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't. When it comes to this kind of research, you cannot depend on me. You cannot depend on any one book anybody's going to give you. I give you guys the terms to look up. You just make sure that you look up the description. We wanted to find with the tribes what they were, the names of the tribes. Then you do research on what were the descriptive terms, the first settlers, the first people who interacted with these tribes, what were their descriptive terms of these tribes. That's how you find out color and how they looked. You don't just, I can't be telling y'all to go look for a book. Like, I'll give y'all some books, but it's hundreds of books. And there's no way I can read them all. So I can just tell you what to look for. And then from there, you got to go and look it up yourself. But I'll tell you where to look, but from there, you got to go.
I found a lot of that information from the Old World Encyclopedia as far as when it came from the slaves. That's where I found all that. They said a majority of us was already here. So when I hear that a chunk of us come from Africa, no.
And then when you read books, your information is going to lead you to the next thing. You're going to read some stuff, and that's going to lead you to some more questions. And then you're going to read some stuff, and that's going to lead you to some more questions and answers. And so that's how you got to do it, man. But thanks. I got to keep going, brother. Thanks for giving us a call.
All right, brother.
So you have a good one.
All right, holla. Yes, sir. You too.
Yeah, man. Like, look, Herbal Little Leg, I appreciate the super chat. Always. Much love, brother. We got Nori Neal. Appreciate the super chat. You said, let me read that. The U.S. let in more immigrants actually than the total amount of Africans that entered supposed to the century during North American slave trade. Right. They let a hell of a lot more immigrants in, especially Germans. What's up, caller? What's the name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Dewan. It is Brooke from Brooklyn,
What's
but
up,
now
Brooke?
lives in Queens. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? I
I'm
wanted to
good.
cover
I
this.
just
You
wanted to.
calling in? I'm glad you called in because I wanted to cover. I loved when Mamdami was talking. You wouldn't give. You was on their ass when Mamdami was talking about Africans. So salute to you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I find it very fitting because we can't really see who was talking and who was doing what at what time. But I thought it was just the ancestors that made that possible for me to be on the mic because I did a 6 hour live breaking down Mondami's family, his political history, his mother's history as far as the movie that she did with using Denzel Washington's star power to become famous. That he's always riding on Black people's coattails, Black Americans' coattails here in America, and that his family was riding on Uganda's coattails in Uganda, and how they got kicked out. And I talked about, just how, he pretended to be, he put down on his college application that he was an African American. When he was a council person, or I can't remember if he was a council person or assembly person, but he said that that he would qualify for reparations and he would gladly accept the check. So I went deep into, how they talk about how he's grassroots and, he had this voter registration campaign, trying to compare it to the things that we've done in the past, when in actuality, it's a bunch of rich trust fund kids like him that support him. So, I did a 6 hour live breaking him down, and I felt like it was just the ancestors that had my voice be the soundtrack to his stupid little speech on top of our ancestors' bones, by the way.
Right. Now, but you did the work, and that's the whole point of acknowledging the ancestors because the ancestors are gone. So it's on us to get their energy to do the work of now.
Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the family and all the love that they have shown. If you could hear, my voice still sounds a little messed up. I'm still healing. My voice is still healing from Tuesday, and it's been a very busy couple weeks because the hearing was on Saturday. The hearing at the for the Reparations Commission, that was on Saturday. And then the Tuesday prior, President Devine of the U.S. Freedmen Project, not to be confused with other freedmen organizations because we don't have nothing to do with them. So we went to Albany on Tuesday to go, have meetings with legislators and things regarding our constitutionally styled bill and our disaggregation bill. Our disaggregation bill is our main focus right now. And so that's where we were up there, getting sponsors and co-sponsors for that. And it's so interesting because we had a meeting with an Irish staffer of a assembly person. And he just got it right away. He's like, yeah, my family's been here 200 years, but I don't really have no connection with Ireland. And it's so funny because they were all dressed in Irish attire because or green, whatchamacallit, because the Irish parade was coming up soon. So it was interesting. He's sitting there talking about how how he has no, and I said, yeah, you've been here for 200. Well, we've been here for 4, at least. You know what I mean? And so it's very interesting how how a lot of white folks were giving us very little pushback, but the Afro immigrants who are now in seats of power feel differently. So it's just interesting, when you're actually seeing it in real life.
Real talk. I appreciate you. I'm glad you called in too. Did you get my IG message? I was going to talk about your video.
I did because I work nights, so I'm asleep during the day. So that's why I've been missing some of your broadcasts during the day, and it's been busy at work. So I've been missing some of your broadcasts, and it makes me sad. And I'm catching them 2 and 3 days later, on the playback because I like to be live.
Yeah.
But I did. I woke up and I was checking my my DMs, and I saw that you said that, and then I instantly looked and checked. But I think you were already an hour in by then, so I didn't get a chance to see the whole thing. But I've been logged in for about an hour now. Yeah.
For sure. I'm because I was trying to find that video to show people. I'm gonna show you.
Which one? I'll tell you where you could go find it if I can.
Yeah, the one with you protesting Mandami.
That's on IG or Twitter.
Here, I found it right here.
First.
Okay.
I'm on your Twitter right now. I'm gonna show that. Thanks for giving us a call, and Brooke.
No problem. Anytime. I thank you so much. And everybody, please send those emails to our legislators. You can help out. You know, people are like, oh, how can I support you? Support me by sending them emails, child, okay? The link to the emails is bit.ly/BREUCK, call to action. And I'll put the link in the chat. That's bit.ly/BREUCK. Okay, no problem. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
All right.
And they're pre-written, so you don't have to worry about what to say and how to say it. Okay, bye.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
This is send those emails. This is Brooke and them right here. Oh, it's muted.
My father gave me the middle name Kwame after Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, a leader who fought for freedom.
This is them protesting.
Kamani Williams,
this is Brooke right here.
You earlier, you don't speak for us because you don't have our blood. And Al Sharpton, you have our blood, but you still don't speak for us. You are a shakedown artist, a preacher without a church. You don't speak for us.
Oh yeah.
Who else?
She called Al Sharpton.
You might have been voted in, but you.
She called Al Sharpton a preacher without a church.
Voted in by us, and you don't speak for us, and that's why we're gonna make sure that you lose all these extra bodies that you put on the
out there putting in that work. Appreciate it, Brooke. But yeah. But some more, if you want to know some more on, look up the Mississippian Wars. Look up the Black Warrior. They used to call Mississippi the Black Warrior Valley. Look that up. Look up the descriptive terms of the Black Warrior Valley. The Mississippians, as described by the Spanish conquistadors as they came, they say extremely tall. Basically, as they said, a full head taller than the Spanish. Powerfully built, broad, strong, and physically imposing. Dark skin. Repeatedly described as having darker complexion than others in the region. We're talking about the descriptive terms of the people in the Mississippi Valley. That means Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. Over on into Alabama. This is how the people were described as in the 1500s. You really know it's black when they say extremely tall and powerfully built. Shit, that sounds like Deontay Wilder to me. That sounds like Draymond Green to me. That sounds like to me. Read. If you go, let me see if I pull this up. The Narrative of DeSoto. There's a book called, if you want to know more about that, if you look up The Narrative of DeSoto. DeSoto describes the descriptive terms of these people. What you'll find is the people that they were describing back then look like half the niggas in the NBA now. It's gonna be my last call of the day. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Man, you know what it is. It's Auto Choice in the chat. Town business.
Town business. What's up, brother?
Oh man, I was just saying yes to everything you asked as far as that genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go to Ancestry.com and I'm all the way back in several lines, early 1700s, with marriage records. That's supposed to be impossible, right? Because I'm supposed to be in chains. I'm supposed to be running, swimming from snakes, fighting wasps in the trees. I'm supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, coach at this time.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody I've looked up is married. Everybody got a license. Everybody. Marriage license. Okay? This is supposed to be some type of groundbreaking information for us, but the cognitive dissonance won't allow it to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So now you really have to say, we don't have post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay? We have a whole nother symptom that's going on where we want to be identified as a victim. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know what that really means for a person to actually have the front door open, but you're struggling with the back door. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to, quantify that type of psychology. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm just letting you know, man. And the secret to, if you really want to get deep into where your ancestors were designated as far as Native and Indian Americans. The year is 1890. So you look up 1890 people who were born in the 1890s, or not born, but alive as an adult age in the 1890s. And the Dawes Rolls was going around America designating their tribes. You had to be identified around this time in 1890. Mm-hmm. And everybody, man, people don't understand what everybody means. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do genealogy, but I'm just letting people know, I'll give a quick little number. If I go to all the lines of the people that I'm related to in the 1890s, it's about 16 grandparents, at least.
Well, no, that's just the 1890s.
That's just the 1890s. Yeah. If I go before them, that number doubles to 32. Okay,
64. So that shit go like it go like a goddamn memory in a computer. 64, 128, right. 256, 512. 1,014, 24, yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to let y'all know, man. I'm like me and Juan. We look very descriptive the same. I'm tall, dark skinned, bald, thick hair brother, and I ain't find an African yet. So you know what I'm saying. And another thing I want to tell people: yes, you could be related to Africans. Because a lot of the Native Americans, they're getting online saying we're related to Koreans. Finding our 16, there's people in Korea finding out they're related to Indians.
Yeah,
Native Americans. So yes, the ancestry blood is correct, but migration is also correct, and you can't fight those type of things. So the Native Americans are related to Mongolians and Koreans. Okay.
Yeah, because because really the history of Earth is the history of climate. And when you look at climate history, there are times that here in the Americas that LA, there was a time where Los Angeles was underwater. There's also a time that Los Angeles was 100 miles inland. There are also times where Arizona was under an ice sheet. And North America was under ice sheet for 30,000 years, and nobody lived in this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then when the ice receded, people came back. Like people lived here before the Ice Age. The Ice Age came, made this whole motherfucker a goddamn sheet of ice. Not the whole place, but different parts of sheet of ice. And then people left. It moved.
All the way down to
and then when the Ice Age receded, the water levels rose. Like you look at Bimini Road out there in the Bahamas, Miami used to be, if you look at, Miami used to be all the way inland, and the Bahamas was the beach to Florida. Like, Florida used to go out to the Bahamas. They have, like, ports that are, like, 100 feet below water that you can actually go and scuba dive to now. It's a place called Bimini Road. People need to look up Bimini Road. You look up 30,000 years ago, Bimini Road had a big-ass port that was bigger than the Port of Long Beach. So it's like, this shit is complicated.
And it's like, how do you think Hawaii and the Samoan Islands, got out there and was populated?
Boats?
Like niggas
had boats.
Are just, you know what I'm saying?
Niggas had boats 100,000 years ago.
Right. It's like Australia, but they got a whole history in Australia. For 70,000 years, they've been out there in the middle of nowhere in the water.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think it's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and it's gonna bite us in the butt because the real treaty that we need, and this is just my perspective, and I'm gonna let you go. The real treaty we need is these so-called black organizations to work together on something common and stop trying to undercut and talk shit about each other.
Right.
We got to find something. You know what I'm saying? So that's the real treaty, not the treaty with this colonizer and this colony. Before you start, you know what I'm saying, bringing your claim, let's have a treaty together and say what claim can we actually agree upon.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say right here, bro.
All right, but man, you
right
have a good one. I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
No problem. Peace.
James, I appreciate the super chat. Chris, I appreciate the super chat. Thank y'all for sending that. But yeah, man, it's way deeper than we're taught. It's way deeper. And to say we all came from Africa it can be true, it cannot be true. If you listen, let's just say we all came from Africa. Well, where did the Africans say they came from? The Dogon say that they came from the Sirius star system. So are we Africans or starseeds? What's the answer? The answer to me is you handle the affairs and the political affairs of where you choose to live and where your ancestors come from. If your ancestors, the United States of America didn't become a thing until 1776. This is the 250-year anniversary of the United States. If you could trace your family lineage to those times and before, and you still choose to live here, handle here. It's okay to want to go to Africa. Then do like our brother O'Shea Duke Jackson and move there. O'Shea seems like he's doing fine in Africa. Just go. Identifying with America isn't identifying with my oppressor. No, it's identifying with the land that I was here before the oppressor got here. And if my colored ancestor in 1690 married an Indian and then had my great-great-great-great-grandfather, who knows how long that Powhatan, Potawatomi, or whatever Indian was there? Who knows? I said that's my last call. This will be my last call. What's up, caller? What's your name? What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from? And make it quick, because I was about to hang up. But go ahead.
Oh, hey, Dwan, this is Jacoby from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Jacoby, what's on your mind, brother?
No, man. Yeah, I've been hearing that. I've been watching, and I'm actually kind of pissed off because, man, they're all bitching and complaining. You guys were the ones who gave away your doctors.
Right.
You guys were the ones who gave away your scientists.
Right.
Your healers, your spiritual, your architects. And the list goes on. And now you want to sit here and, like the brother said when he was protesting across the street, you can't get reparations on a bad deal.
Yeah.
You already had your deal. And I'm mad because, like, I remember this issue coming up during COVID. And Phil Scott had to check a lot of folks because the Akata word was coming up quite a bit. And he broke it down. You sold us for fucking plates? Like, dude, a plate? How fucking stupid are you?
Right.
You get, you get what you deserve because that curse is on Africa, unfortunately. That's why Africa's never really prospered. Well, certain parts of Africa. And that's why you're getting all that chaos and bloodshed and things don't make no sense. How you have $40 trillion of resources, but you can't even use it. So, this is foundational Black freemen reparations. Take it or leave it. My grandma comes from Covington Gap, Alabama. Okay? She's 92 years old. She's still alive. Okay? All my families fought from the Civil War, World War I, II, and the Korean War. So I don't want to hear shit what they got to say. They need to go and fix their own homeland, dude.
Real talk.
That's all I got to say.
Real talk, man. Appreciate you for calling us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, look, man. And you can't tell me where, like I asked my argument, you can't tell me where my family came from. You cannot tell me where my family came from. And we're here. I still choose to live here now. That's the biggest part of it. Because I can't tell, at the same time, you can't tell me where my family came from. I can't tell you where your family came from. Maybe your family was one of the 380,000 slaves that came here. Maybe it really was. Who the fuck am I to tell you your family ain't one of the 380,000? Your family could definitely be one of the 380,000 people that came here. I am not in a position to tell you you're not African. Because you might be able to trace your family back and say, nope, my family got off the good ship Jesus in 18 whatever, and yeah, that's my family. Then I'll be like, shit, no doubt. Because the history is complicated. It's very, 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 very complicated. Very, very, very complicated. That's why I say study your genealogy. That's how you get through all of this. Don't worry about the man on the right, the woman on the left. Study your genealogy. And that's where the answers are going to be. All right? We've been over here for 2 hours. I thank y'all for listening. Remember, we about to get up out of here. We might do a late night live tonight. I'll see how I feel. But Patreon tomorrow. We're going to do some readings tomorrow on Patreon, y'all. We're going to do some readings on Patreon 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, all right? Make sure y'all have a good one. We out.